Hi everyone, it's me, Dr. Whimsy. Thanks for joining us. It's Wednesday, and for those of us who watch Broke Aristocrats regularly, you know that Wednesdays is when we talk about all things frugal, and Wednesdays are my tea time where I have a cup of tea, and hopefully you join me by having a cup of tea as well. And we talk about ways to improve our lives and do it hopefully without breaking the bank. And most people know that I like to get my Tetley tea. I'm still working my way through a nice big box of Tetley that I bought 2 months ago, and that's a nice strong British tea, and I'm having it with a little bit of milk and 1 teaspoon of coconut sugar. And we're going to be talking about all of that, about reducing calories and what's coming up in February. This is a lot of ground we're going to cover today during our tea time. Let me take a sip. It's so warm and milky and yummy and delicious, and it makes you think when you drink it that everything in the world is going to be right. Everything is going to be okay, and I can totally see why the British love their tea, because once you get hooked on tea, you stay hooked. All right. Onward and upwards. So there's a couple things I wanted to talk to people about today. I have a couple of notes, all things frugal. And the first thing I wanted to talk about is this impression that I've been getting through the frugal community, and also in literature I've been reading, feedback people are getting who are on a frugal community, where they're starting to feel like their lifestyle is denigrated. They're starting to feel bad about themselves. I've certainly been in that. I've been in that situation myself, where we begin to equate being frugal with being a loser. If you're frugal, you're a loser. And I think that goes back to this idea that if you minimize things, if you keep your life simple, if you live below your means, if you simplify, then you're a loser and you're not doing anything great or particularly important with your life. And it's very important to distinguish between being frugal and smart with your money and living a humble, simple life, and what it means to build a legacy or build something that is significant, that is going to last generations long after you're gone. So there's a big confusion that wealth equals being great and frugal equals being a loser. And that's kind of not really the equation that we see in human history. Yes, having money, having access to money is power, and we definitely see that people who have money have more power and they have access to more resources. This is one of the reasons why we encourage frugality, so that people are smart with their money and so they have more choices with their money. So yes, there is a correlation between access to income and access to resources and power. But it is also true that some of the most powerful people in the world who have made the greatest changes to all kinds of areas of human rights and helping us as a species move forward, many of those people were in their personal lives extremely frugal. And I'll give you 3 examples. The first extremely frugal person I would think of would be Mahatma Gandhi, who literally wore a sheet. He was a lawyer who practiced law in Britain, but then he also went back to India and he became a huge advocate for Indian independence. And he was certainly somebody who lived an extremely frugal life. He helped build an ashram, a community of equality in India, and encouraged people to treat each other with equality and respect, regardless of how much money they earned. So Mahatma Gandhi would be an example. Another example of extreme frugality would be Mother Teresa, who again owned very little property, and yet she was very much part of the global discourse about treat others the way you would want to be treated, be a compassionate person, be a good person. A third example would be Golda Meir. She was one of the early founders of the State of Israel. She was so poor during the early founding of the State of Israel that she literally had only one dress. And she would take it off at night, she would wash it, hang it, and let it dry. And in the morning it was either dry or not, and then she would put the dress back on again because she was so poor and living so frugally. Yet, while she was being frugal and trying to stretch a chicken between, 10, 20 people, building a new country, she was negotiating with world leaders and building a country. And I found out about the frugality of Golda Meir from reading the book by Ralph Martin, Golda, The Romantic Years. And I learned some powerful lessons from that. But one of the things I learned from Golda Meir, and she was close friends of Eleanor Roosevelt, who was also quite frugal, was that they prioritized their time, and they put their time towards building a better world. I mean, that was really their attention. Golda Meir did it by focusing on politics and building a state. Eleanor Roosevelt was involved in what would become the United Nations and drafting what became the International Human Rights Bill. So both of them lived simple lives. They were not. They didn't particularly enjoy elaborate things, but they were very much big people. They were big people doing big things, but they were living simple, frugal lives. So I hope people understand that to be frugal is not to be small. To be frugal is simply to simplify things and make your life easy to maneuver so that you then have time to devote to things that are important. So there's a difference between poverty and our finances being all over the place and being frugal. And in fact, frugal people who live simply, who make their lives as simple and easy to manage as possible, have more time on their hands where they can go out and make real significant changes in the world. So that is the first point I wanted to make today, is that frugality is not poverty, and being frugal doesn't mean being small. It doesn't mean playing small, and it doesn't mean living an insignificant life. I hope that all the people that are part of the Broke Aristocrats community understand that their lives have value and that they can go on to do great and meaningful things with their lives and build powerful legacies. And in fact, being frugal will only help you accomplish that all the more. The second thing I want to talk about today is our book selection. I try to pick a book selection every Wednesday, and usually they are books that have been in the public domain for some time, so they're either free or very little money. And this particular book I've chosen has, I don't know if it outsold the Bible, but it's probably been a #1 bestseller in the United States for a good long time. And that is the all-famous How to Win Friends and Influence People. This is one of those books that has been sold so much that if you go to any Goodwill or St. Vincent de Paul or Salvation Army or any other used books, any kind of used clothing, used discount place, you're going to be able to find most likely a used copy of this book. You can also probably get it in the public domain, or you can buy it on Amazon used for $1, $2. It's really not expensive to own this book. I've read it several times. It's real easy to forget all of the lessons of how to win friends and influence people. So it's nice to go back and review it. But specifically, I want to address the opening of the book. And that, if you, and I'll send links below if you want to order it on Amazon. But like I said, you can probably get it at any Goodwill or any place that has used books, because it has been a bestseller for so many years. But I want to refer to 9 suggestions on how to get the most out of the book, which is at the opening of the book. And Dale Carnegie talks about a particular man who changed his life and did remarkable things with his life by doing one thing. And the one thing he did was that he kept an engagement book. And an engagement book is similar to what we encourage people at Broke Aristocrats to do. And what we encourage people at Broke Aristocrats to do is to keep a ledger or a notebook, and we call it an account and a reckoning. And that is where you have the opportunity to write down little things throughout the day, whether it's the money you're spending, thoughts you're having, concerns, things you have to get done. Keep that note handy, and then when you get a chance, perhaps at night before bed, you can review the day, write in your journal, and review the things that you need to do or ways that you can improve your life. And so every day, bit by bit, we become a better person. So that is what we recommend here on Broke Aristocrats. But if you go to Dale Carnegie, he talks about a wealthy banker who kept an engagement book showing all the appointments. And I want to read a little bit about what this successful businessman did. He said, "For years, I have kept an engagement book showing all the appointments I had during the day. My family never made any plans for me on Saturday night, for the family knew I had devoted a part of each Saturday evening to illuminating process of self-examination and review." He would open his engagement book and he would look at the meetings he had with people and he would say, what did I do that was right and in what way could I have improved my performance? I often found that this weekly review made me very unhappy. I was frequently astonished at my own blunders. As the years passed, these blunders became less frequent. This system of self-analysis, self-education continued year after year, did more for me than any other one thing I have ever attempted. And that was definitely something that I thought about when I began my own account and a reckoning for here at Broke Aristocrats. So this is certainly a book that I go back to. I may review it again, and it has given me great guidance about how to be a better person, how to get along with people better, how to show people respect, and the ways in which I have not been the best person I could be. And definitely an account and a reckoning, looking at my actions throughout the day and endeavoring to correct myself has been humbling and a really important and positive change I have made in my life. So I got the idea here, but I also found my great-grandfather's journal online, and I was able to read his account and a reckoning of life when he was a new immigrant to the Americas. And that was, he wrote his book in the late 18th century. It was his journal, and that was pretty exciting for me to find that online. So people have been doing this for a very, very long time. The last thing I want to leave people with for this tea time, I know we're running a little late, but there was so much I wanted to cover, is what's happening in February, and that has to do with healthy digestion, healthy weight. Those are the subjects we're going to be tackling in February. I hope you can all join me. And I myself am part of this. And that has to do with an idea that's called hoarding, poverty, and obesity that we're going to be tackling in February. And it shows this correlation between people who hoard things, poverty, and increased risk for obesity. And I think the reason that we're seeing these three things all come together at the same time is because they all stem from fear and scarcity, or a feeling like we have to hold on. We have to hold on to what we have for fear of losing it. And it sometimes means that we're going to be eating more than we need, buying more than we need, buying more food than we need, buying more things than we need. And so the end result is that we are bombarded by too much stuff, poverty, and obesity, because we're carrying too much stuff. This is why we see in hoarding, it physically begins to manifest itself as too much stuff. So for me, I have decided to really begin monitoring my caloric intake. I try to meditate every day and really listen to my body. And for some time now, my body has basically been feeling overfed. Like I've just been feeling like I've been eating too much. So I've cut my caloric intake by about 20% the last couple of days, and I've been monitoring it on myfitnesspal.com, and I'm going to be in February talking people through the process of healthy nutrition and dieting. I don't encourage people to diet, but I do encourage people to eat nutritiously and to reduce caloric intake. So those are some of the subjects that are going to come up in February. But I can tell you that personally, dropping my caloric intake by about 20%, I've already started doing that, letting stuff go and not hoarding food, and just walking away after I'm satisfied. I can tell you already after a couple of days, I'm feeling pretty good. All right, so that was everything I wanted to tackle for this Broke Aristocrats, this tea time. It was 3 subjects. Number 1, just because you are frugal does not mean you cannot do great and powerful things with your life. Frugality does not mean playing small. I think that that's an important point I wanted to leave people with today. Number 2 was our book recommendation, which is How to Win Friends and Influence People, and be sure and check that out, along with us yet again encouraging you to keep an account in a reckoning book so that you can chronicle your process of not only going debt-free, but hopefully becoming a better person. And then finally, we tackled the issue of hoarding, poverty, and obesity, which is something I'm going to be dealing with, the fly going by, dealing with in the future. So thanks for watching, everybody. I hope this was a fun tea time for you. Think about where we're headed in the upcoming month. We're back on track with No Spend January, and I will be spending several days in February not spending. In fact, February is probably going to be an extremely frugal month for me. I wasn't able to be as frugal as I wanted to be this month because of the move. I moved a month early. I was originally scheduled to move in February, so that's why everything got messed up. So I will be continuing my no spend into part of February to play catch up. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. Be sure and share, like, subscribe, and tell me what you are doing to take care of yourself without breaking the bank. I never feel like I tackle any subject with justice because we have so little time here to chat. But thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.